Hello, and welcome to my studio. I'm really excited today to be participating in the Seguin Art League's summer video series. My name is Marty, and I'm a fiber artist. And so today I wanted to share with you a fun project of making these little shaker eggs. It's a real simple project. Kids and adults can do it. They make fun gifts. I made a whole bunch of them last year for a bunch of my friends that are musicians. So they're kind of fun to have around. And I've known a few folks who have tried to juggle with them. I will not demonstrate that for you here today, though. So let's get into the art of felting these gorgeous little eggs. Super simple to make. First thing you'll want is a bucket of water. This is tepid water, warm bath water, not soaking hot. And I like to prime my water with soap. The art of felting, wet felting, requires soap and water and agitation. So we need to add some soap to our water. I use olive oil soap. You can use a coconut oil soap. You can use a dish soap. I find the olive oil soap is softer on my hands, and I'll often just grate up a little bit of it and stick it in the water to kind of melt while I put my project together. So just grate some in there. I call this priming my water. There we go. And once you've got that in there, just kind of stir it around a little bit. And you can just set it off to the side for the moment. The other thing you'll want is some wool. You'll need some wool. This is merino. It's not real fine merino. It's just good old-fashioned merino. It's soft to the touch and it felts real easily. You can find this perhaps at your local craft store. I know here in Seguin we have You're So Crafty. And they carry a lot of fibers that are fun to play with. But you can also Google it online. Just look for some merino roving. Some of the other items we're going to need are some of these little plastic eggs. You probably have them left over from Easter. This is a great way to repurpose them. Perhaps have fun for next year's Easter egg hunt. I like to use this electrical tape. We're going to be using that to seal our eggs together. And then this is gravel. I don't know. I got it at the dollar store somewhere. You could use BBs as well. Some people like to use rice. Whatever the sound is that you like, small pebble size. I think these are lava chips. You'll also need a Ziploc baggie and a nylon stocking. Even a nylon sock will work if you don't happen to have one of these in your drawer. And perhaps a pair of scissors is good to have too. So I also have an extra hand towel in case I need it. So what we're going to do is start laying out our wool, and I'm going to pick some colors from my palette here that I think would be fun, maybe contrast with each other, and then some complementary maybe. I think I'll start here, and I can add more if I need to, since I have my bag right there. So to load my eggs with my chips, I use a little scooper here. This is 1/8 of a cup of shells. Fills up about the bottom half, and I close it. And then I like to use this electrical tape to seal this shut so that it doesn't come open while we are felting our eggs. And I just wrap it around there. It doesn't have to be perfect, just to kind of seal it and keep it shut. Now, on this particular egg, there's also a big hole here at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of tape over that too, so that I can prevent as much water getting inside my egg as possible. That might not be really important since I'm using lava rocks, but if you're using rice or something like that, you may not want it to get totally wet and then have water sitting inside your egg. So, I've got another hole right there. Okay, so I've got my little egg all patched up, and now I'm ready to lay out some fibers. I think I will do my blue first. When you're working with roving, it comes in these long lengths. Merino is a pretty fine wool, and roving simply means that the fibers have been set to go in the same direction. And while it makes it great for spinning, perhaps, that can cause an issue for felters because we want thin layers that overlap that can mesh together to make the felt. So when we work with our roving, first thing to do typically is to split it in length so that you can have a more manageable size to work with. And then you're going to want to pull a portion of this off into shingles. Let me show you how that works. Shingles, think of the shingles on your house, how they lay on top of each other. We're kind of going to do the same thing here. We're going to do a small square of shingles, alternating directions, and then we'll wrap our egg. When you're pulling your wool off, you want to pull off very thin pieces. This is so thin you can see straight through it. That's a nice thin shingle, and you just want to lay it down on your mat. And you want the next one to kind of overlap it a little bit. And we're going to be rolling our egg up, so remember that. And then I'm going to put a little bit that way too. And then I'm going to come in with some of this green. Let me split off some of this green here. Here's a little piece right here. I'll just work with this. This time I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to crisscross it. And again, very thin, very fine. You can see through them. And you just kind of want to overlap them just a little bit. So these are fun to do. You can mix your colors, you know, play like a Crayola box, and mix and match and have really cool effects. And not worry so much about design. You want something that looks a little bit more organic. So this is a good start. I'm going to dip my egg in our water over here just to get it wet. And then I'm going to start here at the bottom, and you'll see the wool will kind of grab a hold of my egg. And then I'm going to tuck in my corners kind of gently. The wool will want to stick to your hands. And I've just kind of made an egg shape. So that's a good start. Now, I can go back over that with some more wool. Whichever color you want. And this time I'm going to take it and kind of wrap it around. Take some of the green. Maybe I'll put some over here. Wrap it around. Flip it over. Add some more green over here. Now that's kind of thick, so I can easily pull that apart a bit, open it up, and thin it out. So you can see I'm working with really thin layers here, really, really thin layers. And then just kind of go through your hand, gently squeeze it. Remember, we're not looking for a perfect design here. We want something that kind of looks organic. Let's add another color here. Oh, here's some yellow. Here's some really fun yellows mixed in with different colors. We'll try that. Again, I can thin it out. And I think this time I'm going to go the opposite direction with it and kind of try to cover the bottoms of my egg. And just kind of drape it around, bring it in on itself. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other edge. Thin piece, doesn't take a whole lot at all. I'm going to stick him on there. Bring it around. So that's kind of it. I kind of have an egg sandwich wrapped in wool. And just kind of take it around. The next thing we're going to do is load our pantyhose or our stocking and get ready to start the felting process. So now we have our egg. It's ready to go into our stocking. I like to put my hand in the stocking first. Instead of trying to put the egg into the stocking, oftentimes it's easier just to grab the egg and bring the stocking over. So our egg is down there in the bottom. You'll want your water. The soap has been primed now. You can put your hand in it. It feels uh, slicky. Put your egg in there, and you're just going to hold it down and kind of give it a gentle squeeze. We're working to get the air out. We want to get the air out of the egg, out of the fibers, and to make sure all the fibers are wet. And then once it's completely wet, bring it on up. And just kind of gently, not real hard, I'm just kind of gently squeezing it, moving my egg around, changing its position. And this is the action. Every little time I'm squeezing this, the fibers are locking together and starting to felt. What makes this work is that we're using water with soap, and the cuticle or the scales of the wool fibers open up, and so they are able to grab a little easier. If it gets a little dry, just dump it in again, squeeze out any extra water, and just continue to squeeze. So once you've kind of gotten it squeezed and rolled around, let's take a look at our egg and see how it's looking. Carefully, sometimes the fibers will want to stick to your nylon, so you carefully want to remove it. Like this here, just carefully remove it. And then you can take your hands and do a little bit of action in your hands as well. So I've taken it out. It's looking good. I'm going to put it back in. Squeeze it a couple more times. And now I'm going to use my Ziploc baggie. I just put it in there, maybe a few extra drops of water, not a lot. I haven't taken all the air out. Now I can use my Ziploc and I can really kind of get going after it. You'll want to do this for 3 or 4 minutes maybe, and then you'll want to check it. It's not necessarily a real messy task. So I'm going to take it out again. And check to see what we have. All right. Yeah. Now my fibers are starting to get tighter. I'm going to put it in and do one more round of 3 to 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and put it back in the water, squeeze out the excess, and put it in the bag. On. You want the air in there so that the egg can really hit all sides. As I'm whacking it, those fibers are getting tighter. So I have rolled it for a couple of minutes now. I'm going to take it out and we're going to check it again. Take it out of our nylon. You want to pull it out carefully. Oh, looky there. Yeah, it's starting to come together. Not much of the fibers stuck that time. Now, one thing you can do to test to see if your fibers are actually locking together and the felting is working, do a little pinch test. You can see that there, how it's pulling away. That means we're not quite done, so we need to put it back in and keep working. But I'm going to go ahead and pat that back down, put it back in our pantyhose. Get it wet one more time. Do a little bit of hand manipulation to it. And put it back in our bag for another 3 to 5 minutes of rolling. Again, make sure you have enough air in there that it can move around and bounce. This is a fun family project to do too. Everybody could do a group of eggs. Like I said, I started making them for my musician friends. In fact, I made them for Easter a couple of years ago and took a basket out to our family gathering where we play music and hang out and barbecue and sit by the campfire. I'm also going to bang it around in there. And check to see what we have. All right. Yeah. Now my fibers are starting to get tighter. I'm going to put it in and do one more round of 3 to 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and put it back in the water, squeeze out the excess, and put it in the bag. So I think I'm ready to go. Just another about 5 minutes maybe of shaking on that. Ah, there's my egg. Now if I do a pinch test, it's not really coming up. I'm going to roll it a little bit more in my hands, maybe on the table. All the way around. And when the fibers are all laying down and you can't pull them apart, your egg is good to go. Now I would take it to the sink and rinse it under some nice cool water, rinse out the soap. And then when you get done, just roll it out in a towel. Towel dry it. And there you have it. A wet felted shaker egg. Perfect for lots of things. I want to thank you for spending your time with me to learn about making these wonderful shaker eggs. I also want to invite you to subscribe to the Seguin Art League YouTube channel. We'll be offering more opportunities, tutorials, in all kinds of mediums. Enjoy.